What's on the menu for today?
Wade, it was a rather blustery day, not in the 100-acre woods, but on either end of Ontario. London, Western Waterloo had some terrible winds. Kingston, we know this city is always windy, but as Coach Snyder said to you, it was excessively windy on on Saturday morning.
Yeah, and I think the pinnacle of that was the warm-up video I tweeted out
Yeah.
from CFP, where it was like Campbell Fair hit the crossbar from 72. It was a solid crossbar. But Connor, just moments before, he had nailed a 67-yarder. Like, I was trying to do the quick math on the field, um, and he lined up for 70. I'm like, oh my God. So he hit the crossbar. Then he lines up, goes, I'll give it another shot. Hits it, has the distance, but goes wide left, and then goes, I'll give it a third try. That was close. And he fell short on it, just didn't hit it the way he had the other two. But still, he had the distance to go 72 yards.
Well, I guess we should start there. Speaking of falling short, speaking of having the distance, the Ottawa GGs did not have the distance as they took a 35-13 loss to the Queens Gales in Richardson, like we said. Queens moving on to the 114th Yates Cup, back-to-back years. We'll be playing the Western Mustangs in back-to-back years as well, but we'll get to that one.
Queens going to their second straight Yates Cup, like you just said. Connor, this game was never really close. I know at one point it got to 20-13. It wasn't really close. It was a whole lot of Queens Gales. They had 400 total yards of offense, Connor. And we saw Alex Freakin again. Jared Chisari handled the rock in the backfield for them the majority of the time. Anthony Souls chipped in as well. But Connor, if I'm Queens and James Keenan's healthy, there's an internal debate. There might not be because James Keenan is their guy. But Alex Freakin is playing really good football. He's taking care of the rock. He's doing everything they're asking him to. It just so happens in terms of touchdowns, they get down to the 1 or 2 or 5 yard line, and that's just an automatic go for the run game to hop in the end zone. I really think Freakin is playing fantastic football. He's the future of their program. And when it comes down to the health of James Keenan, if he's not 110% ready to go, you need to be throwing Alex Freakin out there.
Well, you said there might be an internal debate. I want to provide a counter argument to that because I don't necessarily think there is. Sure, if James Keenan's healthy, we know what he is. He's an East-West bowler, super talented quarterback. But right now, you're in the playoffs. You need to ride the guy that has been consistent, that has these playoff reps, that is playing in these playoff games, got you to the playoffs. And Alex Freakin has done that and more. Since that 9 for 25 game, he did exactly what we said he did exactly what we thought we were going to see him do. He hasn't had another one of those. He has been ultra efficient with the ball, putting his wide receivers in positions to make plays. And I just haven't seen him do anything wrong. Like, I haven't seen him give a bad look, put a ball in,
he put one up this week. He put one up.
That's tough though. The wind kind of, I mean, yes, it was an ill-advised throw, but I mean, the wind carried and pushed that ball all over the field. But in the grand scope of how he's playing, like, I really haven't seen Alex Freakin do anything except for control the game, manage what's in front of him, and lead this team to wins. Even in this game, he went 11 of 17, not really putting the ball in the air too much. A, because it was very windy. B, because they have 7 running backs that can make plays on that Queens Gales roster. But 11
only 3 of them this week. Only 3 this week.
11 to 17 for 176 yards in this game, and once again managed the game from the pocket.
Connor, with Freakin, I mean, even the 9 of 25 game, they had a ton of wind at the stadium. But as you look at their season, comes in against Guelph. That game was a blowout. Not really much for him to do. Then they play York. That game was a bigger blowout. Not really much for him to do. That MAC game was really the first test for Alex Freakin. Essentially his first true tough earn it start. And he did enough to win. And then he comes out even better. And now we see in the wind that he's able to make plays downfield. Guys like Richard Burton, Aiden O'Neill, were able to be huge factors in the game. But Connor, to me, this game was about the Queens defensive front, namely Darian Newell in this game. 2 sacks. They were huge. He also had a huge swatted ball at the line. He was all over the GG's backfield in this game.
Yeah, the Queens defense in this one is really kind of the highlight to me, like you're saying.
Without Ethan Martin.
Without Ethan Martin, but still, I mean, Ashton Miller-Melanson, INT. We knew it was going to happen at some point in the game, but no, the pass rush, the front seven, the aggressiveness of that Gales unit, they did everything that we thought they were going to have to in this game to win this game, and then more. And sure, if you're stat surfing, you're going, oh, but you know, Ben Miracle had 200 yards and a touchdown, and Nicholas Gendron had 146 and a touchdown. Yes, but that is kind of left-handed for Ottawa this year. JP ran the ball 13 times, less than 100 yards, no touchdowns. They took away, sure, he was over 6 yards a carry, but you're still forcing them to play most of their second downs from 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5. And that gets tough in the Canadian Football League with Canadian rules as it is in U Sports.
And I want to point out, Connor, with the Nick Gendron, the big 80-yard touchdown was a broken play.
Yeah,
so it wasn't like they schemed that up. But you mentioned the Ashton Miller-Melanson pick, and we're going to talk about Ottawa here. The interception was in the red zone, first of all. Second of all, this is a read that like junior football quarterbacks are making. Well, you motion into a 14 or a 41 set. The half rotates up to the high safety. So now you're in a 2-high shell, and you're running a post. Well, the first safety is going to leave and go to the next vertical. All of a sudden, Miracle thinks, oh, well, I've got that. No, you watched the half rotate high. He's sitting there waiting for you to throw that post. That was the route Ashton Miller-Melanson was waiting on. He walked over, picked it off, and said, thank you.
We'll have the clip up where you were just talking about it there. But to me on that play, like, yeah, it was, for lack of a better term, it was an easy read for him. But it was still one of those plays where you could tell he was watching film. He knew what was going on there. He read
it, and they were so prepared, this Queens defense. But what I want to say is, like, that was going into the wind.
Yeah. Points
going into the wind were critical for this Ottawa team. I'm trying to think here. Queens scored going into the wind the first drive with Anthony Souls, or the first quarter with Anthony Souls. Then they scored with the wind. Ottawa scored with the wind. And then Queens scored with the wind. Ottawa's field goal from Campbell Fair was the only one that was into the wind after Anthony Souls' 6-yard run. So the wind was crucial. Like, you could not score into it, really. And that was a chance for them to do so.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we've talked about this with Queens. They are dominant in the red zone, and you are going to need to match stride, keep pace, especially when you're getting those red zone opportunities. You need to keep pace and match the scoring output of the Queens Gales. And you said it was a 20-13 game at one point. It ended 35-13. Queens proceeded to put up 15 more points in this game.
Connor, let's talk about why they have to be so good in the red zone. And that's the Western Mustangs, who were trailing after one quarter.
Wow. It was a hell of a play, I will say, from a certain Laurier Golden Hawks playmaker, Shamari Hutchinson. It was on a tip ball. Shamari Hutchinson picks up a tip ball.
First interception of the year for Evan Hillock, and it's off of a tip ball.
Yeah, so I mean, and if you watch the clip, he led his receiver on that one. It just kind of was an unfortunate play, hit the hands, goes up. And comes down with the ball, makes a heck of a play to return that thing to the end zone. And that was all she wrote for Laurier Golden Hawks touchdowns.
I want to say, though, with this Western's defense, we talked about it last week. We've been talking about it all year. 52 pass yards against. If you really want to talk some more, they also forced an interception on the day. They had 3 forced fumbles, 3 recovered fumbles, and a couple turnover on downs as well against the Laurier Golden Hawks.
Well, they also had, wow, indeed. They also forced a ton of 2-and-outs from the Laurier offense. They had those Golden Hawks in unfavorable second down situations, second and longs, second and fives, second and sixes, just tough situations to convert. And Western again said with Laurier, okay, we know you have two good backs in the backfield. That's great. If you can't score with us, it doesn't matter how much you're going to run the ball.
And they did kind of put it back into the hands of the traditional workhorse afterwards on offense. Keon Edwards, 24 carries, 136 yards, 2 majors on the day. I will say him and Ed Woodnotty, longest run on the day for both of them, 10 yards. So there was no home run shot from either running back, but they combined for 40 carries. They combined for, I believe, 200 yards, just over, and 3 touchdowns. That is Western's recipe. Even if they're not hitting home run balls, Connor, 5 yards a carry, and you can't stop us.
Well, and that makes it so much harder. We talked about Ottawa being able to keep up with Queens. That makes it so much harder for Laurier to keep up with Western in this sense. When they have the ability to put up points on seemingly every single drive, whether it's a field goal, whether it is the elusive rouge, whether it is, a touchdown, right? Like when you are taking away 6, 7, 8 minutes of clock time, that then forces Laurier to go, shoot, we need a touchdown or a score in the next 2-3 minutes to get ourselves back into this one. And should you find that, well, then Western gets the ball back. It's another 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes off the clock. The other thing I want to talk about in this game, and we said that it was going to be, kind of pivotal to the success of the Laurier Golden Hawks in this one, the turnover battle. We said they were going to need to play, perfect football, mistake-free football.
Mistake-free.
Especially against a team as good as Western has been all year at converting converting turnovers into points, I mean to say. And they did that. There was a total of 6 giveaways from the Laurier.
I went through it a bit earlier. I think it tallies up to 6, but Taylor Elgersma was 3 of those, right?
Yeah.
2 forced fumbles, 2 fumbles lost, and the pick. 2, who else? Robert Panabaker.
I think that ties him with, postseason included, ties him with Valenti now for the U Sports lead.
But for Western, Connor, with the win, they've now hosted the second round playoff game. They're hosting the Yates Cup. They win that. They host the national semifinal. They win that. They host the Vanier Cup. They're getting real comfortable in London, Ontario, as they don't really have to spend much time on a bus, plane, train, however you want to do it. 45-9. It was 44 or 42 unanswered after the first quarter. It's ridiculous the pace that they play with, where all of a sudden, like, you look up and the score is just slowly getting out of hand.
Yeah, no, and as much as we do talk about, Laurier, or as much as we do talk about Western being able to, grind out the clock and get those kind of sustained, methodical touchdown drives, let's not be mistaken here. They have the ability to just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 play touchdown. They have the offense to score in a variety of ways, in multiple positions on the field across every single level, I think. But it was certainly a dominant showing for those Western Mustangs. You can see how bad that they want to continue to host the Yates, the national semi, the Vanier.
They do want to get those games in, and they'll have to face Queens in order to do that.
And just before we do go, I think we're kind of wrapping up this recap video here. It was a great weekend, but I know we keep harping on the wind a little bit. There was 2 plays in either game that were really affected by the wind that resulted in massive plays for both Queens and Western. The first one I want to talk about with Queens, there was a broken punt play towards the end of the game. It looked like it was going to be a fake, or should have been a fake.
It was a bad snap. Okay. Campbell Fair just kind of had to get it off, but when he did, I know the play talked about, when he did kick it, it just went up.
One hop for Richard Burton.
They kept it up.
Boom, touchdown.
So unfortunate, because it was a great play by Campbell Fair, who had a fantastic day.
Yeah.
Wind included, kicking the ball. I mean, his 31-yarder was into the wind. He had some great punts headed in that direction as well. Made a good play to get away from one of the punt return teams.
But the old adage,
the wind.
or the old adage, right? Like big time players make big time plays in big time moments. Richard Burton, Queens veteran, one hops it to the house, iced the game. It was a great play. And then the other one was in the Western game. Shortly after a Western touchdown, they absolutely hammered. And I don't know if they knew what they were doing. I don't know if they did this on purpose. I don't know what happened on this play, but hammered a ball high up into the wind, got caught in the wind, hung up in the wind. Laurier it looked like they were almost trying to field a punt at some points in this coverage. And that's no disrespect to Laurier. This is more just the effect of the wind. Western recovers their own kickoff because it gets hung up in the wind. So two massive plays, and we were harping on the wind. And for everybody that's like, oh, it wasn't that bad. I just wanted to talk about those plays to kind of highlight, yeah, no, it was that bad.
It was that bad. So that's it for the OUA recaps. We may have one more. I don't know. The Yates Cup's coming up. So stay tuned for that. For Connor and I, you know where to find us, at Wade Zank, at Connor R. O'Neill, at CF Perspective. Take care. Enjoy the week as we still kind of get this warm-ish weather. One more week, hopefully. Take care, guys, and enjoy.
What's on the